Video journal number 1. So number 1 states, please reflect an interaction between Bryan Stevenson and Henry. When Bryan first saw Henry, the way he described that he looked familiar, that he looked like everyone that he had grown up with, immediately it made me think he was young and possibly scared. He walked into the room nervous. Bryan also seemed nervous. It was probably made the whole encounter a bit uncomfortable for you to be representing someone that's the same age as you. I always feel bad when I see, read, or hear about young people that are incarcerated and are scared about it. I mean, I guess older people can be scared, but young people being incarcerated is like they don't know what the future holds for them. Number 2, what does Bryan mean when he says he gets emotionally drained? I feel like Bryan is referring to himself being tired when he says he gets emotionally drained. I feel like emotionally drained means you're tired. You no longer have any emotions left to share or put towards a situation. You pretty much used every emotion that you have. You have nothing else to give. I have been emotionally drained. My child's father tends to often drain me of many of my emotions. He tries to make me the bad guy, the evil person. Always is talking down to me, but I'm the one taking care of our child by myself while you are incarcerated or running the streets. And he tends to take a lot of emotion out of me, like every emotion possible he gets from me. Number 3, please describe Walter McMillian. I feel like Walter is probably a guy similar to many guys that are incarcerated at the moment. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't want to say many, because many people are in jail for doing things they had no business doing, but there are many that are in jail for just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Walter got himself in a situation with a white woman that made him the talk of the town, that pretty much put a spotlight on him for someone to be able to incriminate him. I Googled Michael Donald. I say both Walter and Michael were wrongfully accused by whites. White people went looking for both Walter and Michael to pretty much accuse them of a crime, or in Michael's case, take some anger out because something didn't go as planned for the white people. They were upset at the decision that the courts made, so they went to look for a black person to beat on, kill, take some anger out on. So pretty much both Walter and Michael were in a situation where white people brought them down. Number 5, how did Walter get the money to pay for his lawyer? His family came up with the money. I believe it said that they did things like sell food and stuff like that to come up with the money. I did the quick research. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this word correctly, but permitory challenge in jury selection. Walter McMillian had an all-white jury. If he had a lawyer that would have gone with the challenge, the jury selection may have consisted of people of color, so that he wouldn't be going against an all-white, possibly racist bunch of people that weren't going specifically with facts, but just to find a way to put a black person in jail. Describe Yellow Mama. So I actually Googled this, I mean, I read about it in the book that the inmates painted the electric chair yellow, but I googled that it is located in the state of Alabama. The chair is no longer being used. My feelings about living in the same community as it, since it is no longer able to be used, I feel like it wouldn't bother me as much, but it may cause some kind of anguish within me because I am black, and I am sure that most of the people that were sentenced to death in that chair were of the black community, and I'm sure there are a few racists in Alabama, as there are everywhere, that are possibly still thinking of thoughts of using that chair. Describe Herbert Richardson. Herbert Richardson was a war vet that came back with PTSD and couldn't cope with it. He then found someone that made him feel like his mental issues weren't that bad, but she couldn't deal with the clinginess, his controlling ways, so she broke things off. His attempt to try and get her back was dangerous. I get where he was going with trying to win her back, but it wasn't the best way. And I mean, who's to say what's the best way for someone with PTSD to try to show their affection for someone? 9, please reflect on the first interaction between Brian and Herbert. The first interaction that I got from Brian was that he was a bit annoyed that someone else was trying to get him to work on their case because he was already had loads of cases that he had to work on. Herbert requested Brian's services at first in a pleading manner, but got frustrated with, I'm sure, with what the tone he heard in Brian's voice, like, I really can't help you because I have enough going on. But once Herbert hung up on Brian felt like, oh man, I may be letting this guy down. So he figured hopefully he'd get another chance to talk to him, which happened. Herbert called back, and Brian was happy that he did call back, and it decided that he would take on the case. He didn't know how much help he would be. But I stand by the saying of every little bit helps. I did the Google search on Addie Collins, Carol McNair, Catherine Wesley, and Carol Robertson. The Richardson crime is close in comparison with the church bombing that killed the 4 girls because, of course, there was a bombing involved with both situations, but I feel like it would affect the black community because those 4 girls died because of a racist group's actions towards blacks. So for a black man to be the one that put a bomb on another black person's doorstep, even though it wasn't with his intent to kill anyone, 4 little girls died because of a bomb. So I could see how it affected the black community by causing some kind of questions like, dude, why would you do something like that knowing what just happened or what has happened to these 4 girls because of the Ku Klux Klan? And number 11, how can Brian benefit from a forensic psychologist? I think Brian could possibly benefit from a forensic psychologist by using them in court with him. He needed someone definitely in the Herbert Richardson case for sure to help the judge understand Herbert's mental state and how the bombing wasn't intentional. He had a lot of other issues going on. He had issues growing up as a child. And he just really needed that representation that would have probably helped a lot in the Richardson case.